Think about a moment at work when you felt proud. Not the loud kind of proud where you want applause, but the quiet kind. You finished something difficult. You solved a problem. You sent the final version of a file and leaned back in your chair. Maybe you even looked at the time and thought, I did it. Now think about a different moment. A moment when someone looked at you, really looked at you, and said something simple like, I appreciate you, or I am glad you are here, or that helped me more than you know. That second moment can stay in the body longer. You can feel it in your chest. You can feel it in your breathing. And this is strange, because we are taught to believe work is mainly about output. Deliver the slide deck. Meet the deadline. Make the numbers. But the human nervous system does not live on output alone. It lives on connection. And many of us do not learn that until we hit a wall. Sometimes the wall is a performance review that feels confusing. Sometimes the wall is burnout. Sometimes the wall is loneliness that we cannot explain, even when we are busy all day. The context is simple and familiar. When we are young, we are trained to believe effort equals value. School rewards you for being on time, doing the assignment, getting the answer right, making the teacher happy. If you work hard, you get a grade. If you get good grades, you feel safe. You feel seen. You feel like you are doing life correctly. So when you enter work, it makes sense that you bring the same mindset. Work hard. Be perfect. Never miss a deadline. Make the slides clean. Take notes. Be reliable. This is not a bad approach. It is a strong foundation. But it is not the whole job. Because work is not only tasks. Work is people. And people do not only want results. People want relationship. They want trust. They want to feel like the person on the other side is real. Not just competent, but human. This is the first insight, the surface one. In many workplaces, especially in roles that involve clients or teamwork, quality is not enough if you are invisible. You can be excellent and still be hard to work with, not because you are rude, but because you feel distant. Like a closed door. People may respect your work but not feel connected to you. And that lack of connection can become a problem, even if you do everything right. This can feel unfair at first. You might think, why does it matter if they know anything about me? I am doing my job. But the truth is that humans do not trust spreadsheets. Humans trust humans. We can admire a skill, but we bond through small signals. Eye contact. Warm tone. A tiny personal detail. A shared laugh. A moment of listening that feels real. These signals tell the other person, I am safe with you. And once a person feels safe, everything goes smoother. Feedback lands better. Mistakes feel less dangerous. Collaboration becomes easier. Even conflict becomes more workable. So when someone says, connect better, they are not asking you to become a different person. They are asking you to become more present. More visible. More reachable. Now the second insight is the hidden assumption. Many high performers assume burnout comes from too much work. Too many hours. Too many emails. Too many tasks. That is part of it, yes. But burnout can also come from something quieter. Disrespect. Lack of support. Feeling alone. Feeling like you do not belong. Feeling like nobody has your back. When those feelings are present, even a normal workload can feel heavy. And when those feelings are absent, even a hard workload can feel possible. This is why two people can have the same job and feel very different. One feels engaged. The other feels drained. The difference is not only tasks. The difference is connection. Think about a day when you are tired, but you have a good conversation with someone. You laugh. You feel understood. You feel less alone. Your energy shifts. You still have the same problems, but you carry them differently. Now think about a day when you are not that busy, but you feel ignored or judged. A short cold message from a manager. A meeting where nobody asks your opinion. A client who treats you like a machine. Those moments can drain you fast. And because they are social moments, the body reacts strongly. Your heart rate changes. Your stomach tightens. You replay the scene later. You think, what did I do wrong? Social pain is real pain. It does not show up on a report, but it shapes your whole day. So if we only talk about burnout as workload, we miss a big part of the picture. The hidden assumption is that output is what matters most. But what often matters just as much is the feeling of being connected while you produce that output. Now the third insight is the structural pattern, and it became very clear in remote work. When people work in the same place, small connections happen without planning. You pass someone in a hallway. You say good morning. You complain about the weather. You share a quick joke while waiting for coffee. You notice someone looks tired and you ask, "Are you okay?" These moments are small, but they build a quiet web. They create a sense of being part of something. When work becomes remote, that web weakens unless you rebuild it on purpose. Many remote days are silent. You sit at your desk. You do tasks. You attend meetings. You log off. You might speak for hours, but still feel lonely, because the speaking is only functional. It is about the agenda. It is about the updates. It is about the next deadline. And then you realize something uncomfortable. You can be surrounded by messages and still feel unseen. You can have meetings all day and still feel isolated. Loneliness can exist inside a busy calendar. This is why connection is not about quantity. It is not about how many calls you had. It is about quality. One real connection can change a whole day. One moment of feeling understood can bring you back to life. And this is also why video matters. Seeing a face helps the brain read warmth. Micro expressions. Small smiles. Nods. The feeling of being looked at. Audio only can feel flat, because so much human meaning lives in the face. But there is another layer here that makes the problem harder. Burnout makes connection harder. When you are burnt out, you withdraw. You conserve energy. You stop asking questions. You stop sharing. You stop caring, not because you are a bad person, but because your inner battery is empty. And connection takes energy. You need a little energy to be curious. You need a little energy to listen well. So burnout and loneliness can become a loop. You feel tired, so you withdraw. You withdraw, so you feel more alone. You feel more alone, so you feel less engaged. You feel less engaged, so work becomes heavier. This loop can happen quietly. And many people do not see it until it has been running for a long time. Now the reframing is gentle but important. Connection is not a soft extra. It is part of performance. It is part of health. It is part of engagement. It is part of meaning. We often treat connection like dessert. Something nice after the real work. But it is more like water. Without it, everything dries out. And you do not need to become an extrovert to build it. You do not need to be loud. You do not need to become someone who is always chatting. Connection can be quiet. It can be one thoughtful question. One honest answer. One moment of attention without multitasking. One small signal that says, "I see you." If you reframe it this way, then building connection is not about being fake. It is about being human on purpose. Now apply this to daily life in concrete ways. Start with the first small habit. Expand the dialogue. Most work conversations stay on the surface because surface feels safe. How are you? Fine. Busy. How was your weekend? Good. And then we move on. If you want a stronger connection, you need one small step deeper. Not deep like therapy. Just human. Instead of "How was your weekend?" you can ask what was the best part of your weekend. Or what did you do that helped you rest? Or what are you looking forward to this week? These questions invite a real answer. And if you ask, you must also listen. Because the next small habit is answering in a way that gives something back. Many people answer questions like they are completing a form. Short, correct, closed. But you can answer with a small detail. Not oversharing. Just a detail that opens a door. It was cold today, and I wore the wrong jacket, and I regretted it. Or I tried a new food and it surprised me. Or I took a walk and saw a street cat that made me smile. These details sound small, but they give the other person something to hold. They help you become a real person, not just a role. The next habit is overlap. Find something in common, even if it is not big. People often think they need the same life stage to connect. But connection can come from tiny overlaps. A shared love of a certain music. A pet. A sport. A type of humor. A dislike of early morning meetings. A love of spicy food. These overlaps act like bridges. And in remote work, you can build bridges with what is visible. A book in the background. A photo. A small object on a shelf. You can ask about it. And you can also place small clues about yourself so others can ask you. This is not decoration. It is invitation. The third habit is care. Care is shown through attention. If you are scrolling while someone is talking, they feel it. Even if they do not say it. Your eyes, your pauses, your timing, it all signals priority. If you look at them, nod, ask a follow-up, remember a detail later, that signals care. Care does not require big emotional speeches. Care can be as simple as, last time you mentioned your mother was sick, how is she now? Or you said you were nervous about that presentation, how did it go? When you remember, you create a feeling of being held in someone else's mind. That feeling is rare, and it is powerful. Now an optional deepening, without adding new topics, is to notice the difference between performing connection and building connection. This is important. Many people hear advice about networking and they turn it into a checklist. Ask questions. Smile. Compliment. But others can feel when it is not real. And you can feel it too when someone does it to you. It feels like being scanned. So the real work is not only skills. The real work is intention. Can you actually become curious? Can you actually slow down enough to care? Sometimes the answer will be no, because you are tired. That is okay. But it means you also need to protect your energy. Because if burnout blocks connection, then rest becomes part of connection. Boundaries become part of connection. Asking for support becomes part of connection. Not pretending you are fine when you are not. A small honest sentence can be a bridge too. I am a bit overwhelmed today, but I am glad we are talking. That is human. It invites humanity back into work. Leaders matter here because they set the weather of the team. If a leader treats connection as a waste of time, the team becomes colder. If a leader makes space for small human moments, the team becomes warmer. Warm teams are not lazy teams. They are often more resilient. They recover faster from stress. They share information more freely. They help each other. And in remote environments, leaders must build what used to happen naturally. A few minutes at the start of meetings for real check-ins. A rotating buddy system. Small group chats. Time for people to speak as humans, not only as roles. And then listening to what people say, and acting on it, because listening without action can feel like another kind of loneliness. Many people spend a third of their life working. That means work is not only a place where we produce. It is a place where we either slowly shrink or slowly grow. We either learn to protect ourselves behind performance, or we learn to connect through real presence. And the surprising thing is that connection does not always require more time. It requires different attention. It requires one step deeper. One moment more honest. One moment less rushed. So if you think about your next workday, what is one small way you could make one interaction feel a little more human?